You ever notice how your brain suddenly becomes the most active right when you're trying to sleep? One small mistake from 3 years ago, one text you shouldn't have sent, one conversation you replay 47 different ways. And somehow, your brain convinces you that if you think about it long enough, you'll finally feel in control. But the truth is, overthinking doesn't solve most problems. It just makes you emotionally experience them over and over again. And the worst part, a lot of intelligent people mistake overthinking for self-awareness, but they're not the same thing. In this video, we're going to break down why your brain keeps overthinking, why it's secretly addictive, and how to finally quiet the mental noise without forcing positivity. Because once you understand what's actually happening inside your mind, everything starts to make sense. Your brain has one main job: to protect you. That's it. It constantly scans for embarrassment, rejection, failure, uncertainty, danger. So when something feels emotionally unresolved, your brain keeps reopening the tab. It thinks, maybe if we analyze this one more time, we can avoid pain next time. That's why overthinking usually happens after awkward conversations, uncertainty about the future, relationship problems, career pressure, or moments where you feel out of control. Your brain hates uncertainty, and overthinking creates the illusion of control. But here's the problem. Thinking about something is not the same as solving it. Most overthinking is just repetitive emotional looping. You're not making progress. You're mentally pacing in circles. It's like sitting in a rocking chair. You're moving, but you're not actually going anywhere. And the more emotional the thought becomes, the harder it is to stop. Because now it's not just a thought anymore. It becomes your identity. I'm behind in life. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I never figure things out? And slowly, your own mind becomes the loudest place on earth. Here's something most people never realize. Overthinking can actually feel productive. Because your brain rewards analysis, it feels like you're working on the problem. But sometimes, you're just feeding anxiety with more attention. Think about it. Have you ever spent hours worrying about something, and then when the moment finally arrived, it wasn't even that bad? That's because the imagination is often more terrifying than reality. Overthinking turns possibilities into fake certainties. One delayed reply suddenly becomes, "They hate me." One small failure becomes, "My life is ruined." One uncertain future becomes, "I'll never succeed." Your brain starts predicting disasters that haven't even happened. And after a while, you stop living life. You start mentally rehearsing life. That's exhausting. Because peace doesn't come from controlling every outcome. It comes from accepting that you can handle outcomes you can't control. That changes everything. Now add social media on top of all this, and suddenly your brain never gets silence. Every scroll gives your mind new things to compare. Someone making more money, someone more attractive, someone ahead in life, someone more successful at your age. And your brain quietly starts asking, what am I doing wrong? Most people don't even realize they're overstimulated. Your mind was never designed to process hundreds of lives every single day. That's why you can feel mentally tired, even if you did nothing physically exhausting. Too much information creates mental noise, and mental noise creates overthinking. That's also why some of your clearest thoughts happen during walks in the shower, late at night, or when you temporarily disconnect from everything. Your brain finally has room to breathe. Constant stimulation keeps your mind reactive. Silence helps it reset. Now let's talk about the part everyone actually wants. How do I stop? First, you do not stop overthinking by yelling at yourself to calm down. That never works. You stop overthinking by changing your relationship with your thoughts. Here's what I mean. Most people treat every thought like an emergency. But not every thought deserves attention. Sometimes your brain is just generating noise. A random fear is not a prophecy. A negative thought is not reality. Anxiety is not intuition. And once you realize that, you stop obeying every thought that enters your head. Second, get out of your head and into your body, because overthinking lives in mental energy. Movement interrupts it. Go walk, exercise, stretch, clean your room, do something physical. You'll notice something interesting. Your thoughts become less intense when your body starts moving. Third, stop trying to solve your entire life at 2 a.m. Nighttime exaggerates emotions. Everything feels more dramatic when you're tired. Your brain starts acting like every problem is permanent. It's not. Sometimes you don't need a life solution. You just need sleep. And fourth, limit mental clutter. Too many opinions, too much scrolling, too much noise. Your brain needs recovery time the same way your muscles do. That's why journaling helps, meditation helps, quiet walks help, not because they magically fix your problems, but because they slow the chaos enough for you to think clearly again. Here's the truth: most people learn way too late. You cannot think your way into peace. Peace comes from action, from presence, from acceptance, from understanding that uncertainty is part of life. The people who seem calm all the time, it's not because they have zero problems, it's because they stopped trying to mentally control everything. And honestly, a lot of overthinking comes from fear of making the wrong choice. But life rarely gives perfect answers. Most people figure things out while moving forward, not while sitting still analyzing every possibility. Sometimes the answer only appears after you take the step, not before. That's why action is powerful. Action interrupts fear. Action creates clarity. Overthinking keeps your life frozen in your head. Action brings it back into reality. So if your mind has been loud lately, if you've been stuck replaying conversations, worrying about the future, doubting yourself, understand this. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. And just because your mind says something repeatedly doesn't make it true. Your brain is trying to protect you, but sometimes protection becomes a prison. And the moment you stop fighting every uncertain thought, you finally start feeling free again. Take a breath. Slow down. You do not need to have your entire life figured out today. Nobody does. And maybe peace was never about controlling everything. Maybe it was about learning you'll be okay, even when you can't.